this lifelong journey that you are on, in terms of finding ways to simultaneously bring together aspects of the experience of art and of beauty, has come through a very interesting project as of late. Can you share a bit about your recent collaborative project called Light, which you have called Art for the Whole Body, and explain how that is the manifestation of ideas that you've been mulling over since your teen years?
Yeah, so Light came to be really after kind of, so backing up just a little bit, after May had been going full time for 10 years, we decided to take a little bit of a break and explore some of the unexplored aspects of our lives. And so my wife and I moved to Brooklyn and became part of the advisory board for an organization called the Future of Storytelling. And so the Future of Storytelling was looking at how new trends and technology and conversations, again, happening in different silos, were actually really exploring a central question, which is, as new technologies come online, we're basically given new tools for expression. So what's happening at this intersection at the forefront of creative expression meeting new technologies, and what were the lessons being learned in these different silos that could be applied towards kind of the sector as a whole of narrative and especially immersive artistry. And so over the course of a couple of years, I got to see the early virtual reality experiences and build friendships with a lot of those creators. And that was really the first time where I felt like, oh, here is a medium for what I've been dreaming about as an experience for a long time. And it almost felt like I had the vision for the experience before the medium. And so all of a sudden, once you're looking for that thing and you see it for the first time, you're like, it's very satisfying. Mm-hmm. So I'd been dreaming of kind of creating this experience where somebody could be inside of a piece of music that their whole body would feel in a way. And by that, I mean that you would actually be able to see the sound as light and color and texture, and that you could smell it and that you could feel it vibrating on you. And so I just made a commitment to myself in 2016. Actually, it was 2015. It was the end of 2015. That in 2016, I would manifest some kind of project that really took that step forward. And so through my work on another project called the Global Citizen Festival, one of our board members on that project is the editor-in-chief of Forbes magazine. And so he was telling me about the Forbes 30 Under 30 community and some of these young leaders from around the world. And I was telling him about this passion to kind of bring sound into the language of light and really immerse somebody inside of a virtual experience like that. And he said, well, why don't we try something together? So I was humbled at the request, and he asked me to create an experience with May in the Tower of David in Jerusalem, which is the oldest venue on earth. It's 3,000 years old, right in the heart of Jerusalem. And we took 600 of these young leaders from around the world, part of the Forbes 30 Under 30 program, and they were all assembled in Jerusalem to look at peace building through the lens of entrepreneurship, of creative collaborations in the nonprofit sector, and then unconventional collaborations in artistry. And so kind of as the culmination for this, we had a big evening in the Tower of David. And so we got all 600 people in space. It was mind-blowingly beautiful space. And we did a performance where we recorded this 4-minute piece of music and had built this whole kind of visual system for that. And so we had the visual system designed, and so we used everyone's cell phones and housed this on the internet. and we did a live performance. And at the same time we were doing the live performance, all 600 people were inside of virtual reality together, seeing that sound become light. This was the first large-scale collective virtual reality experience, and so it was an incredible moment, and really the beginning of this next chapter of expression of the kind of art I've been dreaming about for a long time. Yeah. So coming out of that experience, the Tower of David, we had the music and we had the visuals, and then I met Dr. David Eagleman, who is one of the head neuroscientists at Stanford, and he runs a lab there studying human perception and cognition and time and synesthesia. And one of the projects he's been working on for the last few years is a haptics system. So haptics is really studying the science of touch, or looking at the skin as an interface for communicating information. And he had built a vest with all these little nodes in it that could be, in a sense, vibrating in kind of a unified way. But he also built these algorithms that would translate music into patterns of vibration, so that if you're deaf, for example, you could feel the music. And so we met at a dinner, and we were talking about each other's work, and he learned about what we'd just done with the Tower of David, and he was like, we should collaborate. And so I have 2 of the prototypes of his vest, and so now we've taken that same experience and can place people in these one-on-one moments where at kind of critical moments throughout the piece, different sensory elements are happening. So there's this piece of music unfolding, you're inside of the way that music becomes light and color, but there's also vibrations happening around your body. There's a moment of fragrance, there's even a moment of wind, and the whole thing is just designed to be a symphony for the senses, and really like intentionally activating different senses at different times to kind of almost make these chords that play across the body.
That's incredible. I had the honor and privilege of experiencing this one-on-one journey, and it was truly something I've never experienced in my life, and it's exactly what you're talking about, playing the chord across the whole body, and being totally immersed in the art in the moment is incredibly powerful, especially in terms of being able to communicate extra musical messages of hope or peace. And so one thing that I've thought a lot about recently is art, specifically music, and its ability to kind of access the mind and the emotions of its audience, and being able to access someone through that part of the brain in order to send messages, surrounding hope or peace or those types of things. And so I am very fascinated in this type of output for creatives, which is really cool. So where all have you been able to present Light, the one-on-one experience that you described, and how have your audiences perceived the experience?
So after the Tower of David experience, we got to take the one-on-one version of this to Jordan. We went into the deserts of Wadi Rum, and actually got to show Bedouins out in the desert. So one of the joys of this, and really one of the visions for it, the piece itself, Light, has no lyrics in the music. There's no images that you would recognize in a traditional kind of meaning sense. There's no symbols. It's really designed to look at the abstract nature of the relationship between music and visualization and fragrance. And so it's really trying to tap into the way that our perception works and reveal those hidden connections between our senses. And so after this 4-minute experience, the point of it is someone comes out of this, and a lot of times people are very moved coming out of it. A lot of times people come out with tears coming down their face. It kind of is designed to almost be like a like a digital spiritual experience in ways, tapping into that metaphysical, self-transcendent kind of sense that we are a part of something bigger, but without ever really using something, like a word or an image that someone would recognize. It's intended to be abstract so that each person is able to bring the meaning to the piece, right? So after the experience happens, we have people write a reflection in their own language of what it conjured for them or what they felt coming out of it, or just whatever they'd like to share kind of in response. So it's a bit of a call and response. And the collection of responses are meant to reflect as wide of a human community and family as possible. And that's really what's interesting, is having people who come from very different backgrounds, very different stories, very different cultures, worldviews, belief systems, have this piece of art, this experience of art in common, but then, to see what happens when they respond to it. And how does the language differ or change, or the concepts or the things that this evokes and conjures for people line up? Is it similar? Is it different? And it's just a question. And so, been able to take it all around the world this past year. We took it to, back to Israel again. So I like the idea of having different, community like Jordan, a community like Israel, who oftentimes won't even encounter each other, just based on the way that part of the human story is playing out, be able to kind of see in each other's responses this deeper aspect of our shared humanity. And so we've gotten to take it to Japan, taken it to Hawaii, we've taken it to Bogota, we've taken it to Salta, Argentina. And then it really kind of came full circle, and we got to be artists in residence at the United Nations General Assembly in September, a couple months ago. And so to be able to be there for 5 days when all of the world leaders were gathered and just be taking people through this experience was really, really extraordinary.